Hey guys, welcome in. We're just giving it a few minutes to get everybody on and letting our candidates get here. Thank you so much, Bella. Hey, Nomers. Let me mod you. You have been knighted. Thank you for the heart me's. Regil, you have been knighted, sir. Hey guys, thank you for the heart me's. We are just waiting for our candidate to arrive, and then we can get started. We'll give a couple more minutes for people to join. Make sure to tap the screen, like, you know, all the things. It's called Who'll Stand With Us by the Dropkick Murphys. Love them. Thank you, guys. All right, and with that, I suppose it's a good time to get started, right? Welcome, everybody, to our very first episode of It Takes a Village, where we get to sit down with candidates from all over the country to talk about a wide range of issues. Brought by you, the viewer. Eventually, I'm going to have the script memorized, by the way. I am your charming and furious host, Political Jess, and I am not going anywhere. Before we get started, let's go over some ground rules, guidelines, if you will. First, we're going to be chatting with folks from all over the country in all sorts of political areas. So if you have a question for our candidate, please request up. You'll be allowed one question and one follow-up. And our guests will have 2 minutes, and yes, I will be timing you, to answer them. Please provide your state and your age and stick to current events. And remember, we are not a debate stage. If you have the need for that, this app is absolutely dripping with amazing content creators that can provide that for you. We ain't it, fam. Okay? Please be respectful of these amazing people who are working to make our country work for all of us. Failure to do so will result in ejection, smiting, stubbed toes, hangnails, shame, and permanent dismissal. Our guest tonight comes to us from the great state, or not so great state lately, of Texas. running for the 12th Congressional District. Please give a warm and wonderful welcome to Dr. Kenneth Morgan Aguilera, who is in the chat right now, and we haven't brought him up yet. Let me get him up here real quick. There he is. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. I'm glad to be here, Miss Jess. It takes
Fabulous. I need you to put your background on, though, okay?
Okay. Let me see.
Can you put your background on for us?
Okay. Hang on.
That way we know who you are and where you're running, and people don't have to keep asking in the chat all the time.
Green screen. Yeah. I'm looking for my beautiful background. This wonderful lady made me.
I don't know who that would be. It was me, guys. I made it. There you go. Fabulous. Thank you. All right, let's start things off before we get our first person in here to ask a question for you. Let's start things off with a little icebreaker, if you will. I know I hate those things too. But here we are, right? Lots of things inspire people to run for office. What was the camel that broke your back?
Well, when they passed the big, beautiful bill, that was the last straw for me. Because then I became afraid for my children and my grandchildren, and I figured I couldn't sit back anymore. I had to actually do something. And so that was it. That was the last straw. And now I'm 10 toes in.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what it takes to run for Congress? Like are there certain paperworks you have to do? Are there certain
The biggest requirement to run for Congress is you have to have been a resident in the state in which you're trying to run for. Now, there are no particular district requirements. I can live in Dallas and want to run in San Antonio for Congress. So there is no particular district requirement. I just think that it's better that you live in your district. However, but there's no district requirement. The age requirement is 21. Outside of those two biggest things, and you must be a voter. You have to vote. So those are only three major requirements, other than you have to pay a huge fee. It's like about $3,250 registration fee to run. Now you have an option. You can either get 500 signatures and they'll waive the fee for you, but those signatures have to be actual voters. And they will check every single signature, especially now in this time. So that's a way of getting rid of the $3,200 fee. But otherwise, you just have to be a citizen, you have to vote, and you got to be at least 21 years of age. That's it.
Can you can you still run if you're, I mean, I know the answer to this, but if you have a felony, can you still run?
Having a felony does not prevent you from running for office to be clearly president or Congress.
What if you have 34 of them?
You know, all-time new record. So he set the bar really low for the rest
Super
of
low.
everybody else.
Bargain basement. That
Now,
bar is in hell.
You cannot have a felony in. So like if you were running for, let's say, city council, so the state level have certain requirements, but on a federal level, they could care less.
And where do you register? Like if you want to run, where do you go?
If you want to run for office, where I initially started is on the Federal Elections Commission's office, which you're going to register with the federal government. They have a website, FEC, and you go in and you put your name, you register your committee, what party you're running for, what state. That's where you start. Now, ultimately, that puts you on a ballot nationwide. Well, not nationwide, but it puts you on the federal government's ballot to run as a senator or congressman, whichever one you decide. However, each county that you are running in may have some additional requirements, which is where the additional fees come in at. Tarrant County has additional fees they want to charge you. And so you have to pay that in addition to, but there. And also, if you're going to run in Tarrant County, you got to file with the local Democratic Party. And since it's a federal position, you file with the chair of the party for the Democrats. Or if you're running for Republican, the Democratic chair for the Republican Party. That's it.
Okay. Awesome. Just a reminder, guys, if you have any questions for this congressional candidate, please request up and we'll get you up in a box so you can ask your questions. In the meantime, I do have a few other questions that we can use to, keep the conversation moving, if you will.
Yes,
Okay, so there are so many issues that are important right now, and it's really hard for people to focus on everything all at once, all of the time. What is one issue that you are absolutely passionate about that you feel should be front and center in this election cycle?
Healthcare. Healthcare is one of the things I'm most passionate about. As you know, I've spent almost 30 years working in healthcare, executive levels of healthcare. And that's something I'm most passionate about because healthcare will make or break you. And literally, figuratively, and every other way, healthcare is my number one issue because I've seen elderly can't afford to pay rent because they got to pay for medications and they got to pay for doctor visits out of their small social security checks. You know, I've seen kids end up in the emergency room that should have been in a pediatrician's office, but because they don't have insurance or fortunately they don't have Medicaid, they end up in the emergency room and you're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and things just get bad. The care you need on a routine basis to prevent things from becoming chronic, you miss. So healthcare is my number one issue out front and center.
Awesome. Okay. So currently you are running against a man named Craig Goldman for your district seat. What would you say has been the most egregious thing that he has done since he took office, and what would you do differently?
I would say the most egregious thing Craig Goldman has done is ignored the constituents within District 12. And to me, by ignoring his constituents in District 12, he felt his fiduciary duty of taking care of the people of his district. I will do things differently. I believe in one being accessible to my constituents in District 12. At no point do I believe in being locked behind doors and windows and isolated by people, burying me from my community in which I serve. So differently, I will be accessible to everyone. Whether it's voicemail, email, telephone, open office hours, and open door policy, I'm available and that will not change. And I think that's essential in being a person for Congress representing someone. You got to be able to get to them. They got to be able to get to you to discuss their issues with you.
That is wonderful. You know, I forgot to do something. Like I said, guys, this is our very first show. I'm going to take a minute to hit the record button, if you will, so that we can have a record that this is actually happening. So now that we are actually recording, let me go through the little intro again. This is It Takes a Village. It's a new show, brand new show, where we're sitting down with candidates from all over the country to talk about what it takes to run for office, to build community, and to be inspired. This candidate is going to be answering questions brought to us by you, the viewer. So if you have questions, please feel free to request up, and we will get you up in a box so that you can ask your questions. You'll be allowed one question and one follow-up, and our candidates here will have 2 minutes to answer each one. So just remember our guidelines are here in this box right here. If you can read them, if you don't have old lady eyes like me, you can read them and just be respectful of our candidates' time. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to request up for them. Okay, so to keep the conversation moving, what has been your favorite moment? I mean, aside from this one, of course, on the campaign trail so far?
Hmm, that's a good question. I would probably say my most favorite moment is when I was sitting in the room with the Cowtown Democrats, and I actually saw the constituents get really excited about what was happening. Actually, no, let me back up. My most excited moment was watching citizens, constituents, tear into their Republican counterparts for refusing to hold town halls. That's been my most favorite moment because they're calling out the politicians on what they're not doing.
That's a really great call. I think it's really great to see people get involved and to be animated about the lack of representation,
The
if you
time
will.
for being super polite has come and gone. I think people want somebody who's going to speak up and have a voice and not be timid and say, "Oh, I can't say that." That's not what they want anymore. Because if you listen to the constituents across the U.S., they're using some pretty interesting language to get their concerns across. Now, whether they're being heard by their elected officials is a different story, but they are using some colorful, descriptive words.
And justifiably so at this point. All right, Regil, thank you so much for coming up. Go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, how are you doing today, Mr. Kenneth?
I'm doing good. And how about yourself?
Doing great. So I followed you for a while here. I wanted to know what is the in your campaign, what is the thing that you think you're having the most issue with?
I would say right now the biggest issue for me has been fundraising. As you know, I'm running a grassroots campaign, and my campaign is funded by donations from the working class people. Because I do not accept money from private PACs, special interest lobbyists, and groups. So that has been the most difficult and biggest challenge thus far is getting people to actually donate to the campaign.
And just to follow up on that one, with that campaign finance issue, do you think that part of that is trying to get more visibility?
Well, I honestly I think that does play a role in visibility, but I also think part of that issue there's so many things happening in the office with a lot of people are running and a lot of issues and everybody's asking everybody for money that people don't know which way to turn. And unfortunately, if you got a big name and you're a big hitter and you've been out there for a while, you have your people who give to you routinely. And so I have a challenge of having to get out there and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and hope that they'll hear me and see me.
Well, that's great. I appreciate the answers.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for asking.
coming up, Regil. All right, just a reminder, guys, if you have a question for this congressional candidate, it could be anything you want to ask them. Please come up into the box, and we'll give you the platform so you can ask your question. One question, one follow up, 2 minutes to answer. You
Yes, I need
guys
to
did
correct
great.
something. I
Of
need to
course.
correct something I said. The age actually for a congressman is 25. I don't know why I was thinking 21, but I'm actually looking at it again, and it's 25 years of age, and you have to been in the state in which you have been a citizen for at least 7 years.
For 7 years. Well, that
Yeah.
takes me right out of the running. All right. Cool beans. Missy, thank you so much for popping up, darling. What would you like to ask Mr. Morgan Aguilera?
Yes. Hi. Thank you so much for having me up. I am right in the middle of dinner time with the kiddos, but I'm listening in, Jess. I absolutely love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I missed a little bit of the beginning. So what I kind of was just interested is what is kind of your motivation and why you felt like you wanted to run specifically? Is there something you are specifically advocating for or something that's really meaningful to you as to why you felt this is the time that you needed to run?
Specifically, I think we need someone in office that understands the struggle of the everyday working class family, man or woman. Because so far we've had representatives in Austin and in Washington that don't know what it's like to be poor, to be underserved and underprivileged. So because I am someone who grew up poor, who knows what it means to raise a family alone without a spouse or on limited income, it meant a lot more to me to be able to represent the people and for them to know that I understand the struggle. And so you can't represent somebody if you don't understand their struggle or have walked a mile in their shoes.
Awesome. Do you have a follow up, Missy?
Nope, that's it. I'm just sitting, listening, taking in everything like a sponge. Thank you again for running. This is so important right now that we really look at our grassroots candidates and we look at people who are willing to say, I understand the working class. I get it. I know what people go through, and I'm here to work for the people. Because at the end of the day, that's what we are hiring. That's why we are electing these people to do is work for us.
1,000%. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Missy.
Hey Jesse, can I give them a little spiel of my background so they understand, just in case somebody else asks and they may be listening and want to ask that question?
I would love for you to. Yes, please
All
do.
right, guys. So I'm going to start over again. My name is Dr. Kenneth Morgan Aguilera. And for those of you that are wondering, I am a husband. I am a father. I'm also a grandfather. I have 5 children, 4 boys, 1 girl, and I have 8 grandchildren, 6 boys and 2 girls. I'm also a United States Army veteran of 12 years. I currently work in the nonprofit sector as a executive director running a healthcare organization. And again, my biggest thing is I want people to understand that I understand the struggle because I grew up poor. My mother was a single mother raising 7 children, and a disabled brother. And so we grew up in a time where there was welfare. We was on food stamps. We lived in housing where the roaches were bigger than your fingers almost. And so I understand because I got for Christmas for us, it was toys from the Goodwill of the Salvation Army. And so I know what it meant to be poor, to have hand-me-down clothes for school, from your other siblings or from the local thrift store. I was a parent at 15 years of age. I had my first kid at 15. I was told by other teachers and people that I would not amount to anything. I wouldn't make it. I wouldn't be nothing. But I didn't let that stop me. I turned that, determined that I let that constructive criticism, to me, I saw it as constructive, and I turned the negative into a positive, and I continued to fight for something better for not only me, but for my 5 children. And I went to college. I struggled through it. I bumped my behind. I did it, and I got my doctorate degree, my master's degree, and my bachelor's degree, all while raising 5 children. I will also say I understand the importance of mental health because recently I had my ex-wife, no, ex-wife, she passed away. She unalived herself a couple of years ago. Mental illness is real. She had some mental illness issues with psychosocial well-being. And so I lived through that. I understand what that is like. And that's another reason why I'm a huge advocate for healthcare, for mental health. Healthcare is important, and it's one of my biggest issues that I believe is out front and center. Because if we can't take care of our mental health issues, we can't take care of no one or nothing else. We got to take care of self first. So I'm sorry, Jess. There you go.
No, I love it. Thank you so much for giving us that information about you. I think it's really important for us to know who is running and who is going to be speaking for us. And that's why I've been such a huge fan of your campaign, because I really feel like you have a voice that resonates with so many people, and you can speak for us because you know what it's like to be us. So, I think that that's great. Just a reminder for everybody in the chat, if you have a question for Dr. Ken, please request up and we'll get you in a box so that you can ask your question. And no question is off the table. What's your favorite pasta? Totally valid. You can absolutely ask that question. I hear Dr. Ken makes a fabulous gumbo, by the way. But to keep the conversation moving, can you elaborate more on what it means to be a public servant?
To me, to be a public servant is the ability to have compassion, empathy, and sympathy for your constituents. To me, being a public service official means not serving your own agenda. The whole purpose of electing a representative to go to Washington for you is to represent you. And that means, understanding the people in your community. That means doing what's right for them, not playing kiss the boot, for lack of a better word, to somebody else that you believe is in charge. Because at the end of the day, the constituents are the boss. We are the ones as constituents that put the person in office. So I say we because, yes, even I am a constituent. I vote. And so that's important to me. You got to be able to give back to your community. You can't just sit back and do nothing, because right now there's so many things in our system that's broken, and it's getting broken a little bit more each day because the people that are currently in Washington are so out of touch with reality that they don't understand. Because one, they don't know what the cost of milk, a gallon of milk is, or a loaf of bread, or a carton of eggs. Because why? They got people out there buying it for them. And I'll use the example of Craig Goldman. If you actually look up Craig Goldman, he comes from a very wealthy family. And if you look at his financial reports that he has to turn in, that man is sitting on nearly $1 million, just his own personal funds, without touching his campaign. So he could care less. So somebody who sits on that kind of money and has the kind of real estate that he currently owns don't understand the struggle for us to have to be able to figure out how we're going to pay rent or mortgage or light bill, water bill. He don't get it. He don't care. Because I can assure you, he doesn't know what it means to go to Walmart and buy meat. He probably doesn't know that the average pound of beef is now between $8 and $10 for 1 pound of beef. You can't represent me, again, if you don't understand the struggle.
1,000%. I think that is very valid. And just so everybody knows a little bit about Mr. Goldman, his office is located on the 11th floor of the Club Building in downtown Fort Worth. And it is covered in marble and gold-plated everything. It looks like you have to have a dress code. You have to abide by a dress code in order to step into the elevator. It is so far beyond removed from reality that it's pretty sad. But I feel like a lot of politicians are in that sort of environment, and it's going to take a lot of work from all of us to get them out. So, so thank you for that.
Can I
Yeah,
add
no,
something else?
gold plated.
Okay, guys, I will tell you, and I probably skipped around. You want to know what is it I stand for also? One of the biggest things on my agenda besides healthcare is I'm a huge advocate for females' reproductive rights. Okay, that's a pretty significant issue for me, and that's something that I proudly support. I'm also a huge defender and advocate for supporting Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, prison reform system, affordable housing, as well as affordable living wage. And when I say affordable housing and affordable living wage, you can't have, how can you have affordable housing on affordable living wage if what you're being paid doesn't add up? And what I mean by that, for example, the minimum wage in Texas is about $7.50, $7.75 an hour. And the average rent is anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 a month what a person pays for rent. Well, if the average wage is about $7 to $7.50, I'm going to round up to $8 an hour. $8 an hour for 80 hours is $640, $1,280 a month. If your rent is $1,200, even $1,000 a month, that doesn't, and your paycheck is only $1,280. Well, before taxes come out of this $1,200, how can you pay your rent? Because you don't make enough. You don't have enough to pay rent. And so this is why I say I'm a huge advocate for writing legislation that provides a decent living wage, because you need a decent living wage in order to have decent and affordable living. You can't have housing expenses up here and your income is way down here. Those two numbers need to align. So to me, those go together. An affordable living wage and an affordable living wage and affordable housing, which is something we do not have. And as the inflation in the economy continues to increase, we're going to have a surge in the number of homeless, number of evictions, and a number of people needing places to stay. So those are issues for me. Like I said, prison system reform. I'm a huge advocate for small businesses because the majority of the small businesses are part of the ones that support our economy. Unions are another important issue right now, because a lot of unions are out there fighting for us so that we have equal and fair representation, health insurance, decent pay. You know, those things are important. So I support unions. I support small businesses. I'm for prison reform, and most importantly, quality and public education. Right now, our public school system is under attack. Our governor has taken money from the public school system to divert it to private school vouchers. That's a problem. So,
1,000%.
yes.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating to see what they're doing, and it's not what the people of Texas want, but he's doing it anyway. So it's pretty frustrating. Let me kind of switch gears while we're waiting for another person to come up here and ask you about Texas specifically.
Mhm.
Texas has been run by Republicans for over 30 years, and yet Democrats are blamed for our high taxes, low education rankings, immigration policies, and infrastructure issues, among many. What would you do to change that perspective and bring more people on board to support you without wavering on your convictions?
Ask me that one more time, Jess. I kind of lost. You faded out just a little bit on me. I'm sorry.
No worries, it's totally fine. What would you do to change the perspective that Democrats are the problem in Texas without wavering on your convictions?
Okay. I'm going to say the problem isn't just Democrats. The problem is the system as a whole. I'm going to say some Democrats are to blame, some Republicans are to blame. I'm going to say both parties are to blame. But part of the problem now is we need to clear house. We need to clean house. And so without losing who I am and what I stand for, I think that, like building a house on a stable foundation, we need to go in and clean out the house and get rid of all the trash and start over. That's going to be the biggest thing to fixing this. Democrats have been historically known for supporting the economy, for being ones that put the reform into Medicare, Medicaid, bringing affordable health care to the table. I'm not saying we don't work together with Republicans, because we all work together. But historically, Democrats are known for the nature and nurture.
I think that is very important. And in Texas, especially, actually, we're going to have Regil come up and ask you a question right now.
Okay.
Regil's back. Hey, Regil.
Hey, I wanted to actually ask about your idea on prison reform. What would that look like? Can you expound upon that?
Yes, absolutely. That's for me. There's a couple of problems with that. Right now, the prison system is for profit. It's privately owned, and it is a for-profit system. If you've ever worked in the prison and you've ever been inside of there, which I've worked for the system, the conditions are horrible. You know, the inmates don't actually get decent meals. They're given things like bread, or they get things like imitation meat or fake meat. But more importantly, when you go into prison, they don't work on our prison system doesn't rehabilitate the offender so that when he or she gets out of being incarcerated, they can actually go get a decent job and be able to provide for themselves and their family. And so for me, reforming the prison system means one, making it a public system, not private. Because if it's publicly owned, then everybody has access to understand what's happening. The funds going into the prison system are actually to make it better and better conditions. I'm not saying that prisons should be like a hotel where you have, big 50-inch screen TVs everywhere and the best of the best. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is prison is a place where, yes, you've done something wrong, you have to go and serve your time, but we need reform, we need education, because a lot of the numbers of majority of the people that are in prison right now are incarcerated are uneducated. They have not finished high school. Many of them have not gotten past the 9th grade. Many of them don't know what it's like to have someone to look up to or have any goals in life. But if we put a structured system in place that actually rehabilitates them, meaning it teaches them trades, whether it's being a mechanic, whether it's painting, whether it's cutting yards, something that they can actually utilize, on the inside so that when they come out, those are things that I want to see as prison reform that we currently do not have. There is nothing that follows you. And if you have a drug problem, they'll send you off to the rehabilitation programs, but those programs also are typically for profit. And you'll see most of the people that are thin go out, but they come right back in.
Yeah, and I think that companies like the Geo Group and companies like that definitely push to have reoffenders just because it creates more money for them.
To me, it's modern day slavery, because when you working in prison, you get paid pennies on the dollar for the work that you do. Many people in prison they're making clothes, they're making shoes, they're making license plates. They're actually working. They even farm the land and take care of a lot of the food that we grow. They do that in prison. A lot of people don't realize that, but the prison system, they actually, excuse the language, pimping you out. And so for you, you're there, but to them, you're free labor. You're free labor. And the conditions of you drink your water out of the same toilet in many cases that you use the bathroom in. The walls are painted. You got rats and mice running around. You got mold. Many prisons, you don't even have air conditioners. It's hot. You have little fans in the middle of the floor. Again, I'm not saying prisons should be a hotel. They're meant to reform you. But the whole issue is people need to be able to have, if they're going to go there, they need to have livable conditions in
there. Okay, and I want to ask you probably one of the bigger questions. Healthcare. How do you think we should deal with that in our country?
I'm going to say, first and foremost, I believe healthcare should be free. America is supposed to be the richest country in the world, one of the richest, okay? You got places like Mexico, Canada, Australia provide free healthcare to their citizens in their state, to the people in that state. Why can't the U.S. do the same thing? Now, I say free, but free is not really free, but I'm going to expand on that. We all pay taxes. We pay a hell of a lot of taxes in the U.S. You pay taxes in your paycheck. You pay tax on that same paycheck. You pay taxes again to go to the grocery store, to buy clothes, to buy shoes, to buy supplies for school, to buy a car. You're paying taxes. If you own a home, you're paying taxes again. And at the end of each year, you pay taxes again on that same income. So all the money that we're paying in taxes, I think by all means, we should have a system with free health care, because it will eliminate the issue of seniors and our disabled having to take their Social Security checks and take a portion of that income and pay for health insurance. Because right now, the average Social Security check is about $800. And out of that $800, our seniors and our disabled have to turn around and pay for Medicare supplemental insurance if they can't even afford to get Medicaid. So healthcare is extremely important because it's going to either set the stage for your path or it's going to bring you down. So to me, healthcare is a privilege. It is a right, not a privilege. So that's something I intend to change, and I intend to introduce legislation because it should be free. This is America. This is one of the richest countries in the nation, and we pay a hell of a lot of taxes right now. There's no reason we do not have free and suitable health care for every person living in the U.S.
And can I ask one more question, Jess?
I suppose if you're going to bend my arm about it, sure. I'm kidding, of course.
We see that the U.S. is in debt $37 trillion.
Oh, yes.
Where should we look at cutting in order to start working on our debt and to transfer money over to policies that are going to help the people versus corporations?
First and foremost, that big old tax credit that Donald Trump just gave the billionaires needs to be reversed. I think the billionaires should be paying a higher tax rate than what they are. Right now, the majority of the taxes in the United States are paid by the middle class, the working middle class and lower class. So one of the first things need to be done is they need to restructure the tax system because right now they should be taxing more of the wealthy, the top 3% of the society. So that's the first thing because by taxing them the correct way will actually reduce and eliminate a lot of the debt that we are in. The country gives a lot of tax breaks and incentives to the elite. Like, for example, Elon Musk gets billions in grants and awards, and he receives just as much in tax credits and tax breaks. That if they gave those same breaks to the poor, things would be a whole lot better. So that's one of the first things I would say we need to start is restructuring our tax system.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you again, Rajiel. Rajiel, you're in California, am I right?
I am in Utah, one of the worst states right now.
Oh, my heart. My heart goes out to you, man.
Hey,
All
Rajiel,
right.
I will tell you, people think that Texas is isolated and what's happening in Texas is just Texas, but actually it's not true. What you see happening in Texas is going to be happening nationwide. And I say that because one of the first things our president did was he attacked California from the jump. He sent National Guard straight to California immediately because this was the biggest state that gave him a challenge. And so if you've noticed, he went from sending National Guard to California to now they're in Washington, D.C., and now he's talking about sending them to other states that are blue states. So one of the biggest things our Constitution says is you're not supposed to deploy U.S. military on U.S. citizens and on U.S. ground. But our president is doing just that. That's a problem.
I fully agree with you. Thank you guys for your time. I fully support what you're doing, and we need to start funding these kind of candidates.
1,000%. 1,000%. Thank you so much, Rajiel. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to pop back up, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. So Curly Fries 311 wanted to ask you what we could do in Texas. I say that heavily on purpose, to separate our state from the NRA. Yeah, that's what I said too. Oh man. That's a heavy question.
Because this is Texas, I think that's going to be a real uphill battle. And I honestly am not going to create an answer for that because I don't have that answer because it's a battle. Texas is a pro-NRA state, for lack of a better word. And that's something you would have to put back before the voters to get the voters' decision. And I'm almost going to say the voters would want to support that. And so without their support, I don't think that you could do very much about it because I'm an advocate that the things that we should be doing as Congress and as Senate is doing the things that our constituents are wanting, not what's in the best interest of the companies. Now, I do think we need some better reform and some better control in place with some better background checks and, a little bit tighten the system up, tighten the belt up just a little bit because a lot of things are happening right now.
What does reform look like to you?
To me, reform looks like a little bit, a little bit more depth analysis in your background checks that you have to do before you can do that. Right now, you can have some mental illnesses, but you can still get a shotgun. You may not be able to buy a handgun or a 9 mm, certain types of
Pew pews.
yes.
Yeah.
But there's ways around it. You can go to these pew pew shows and you can get around the system. So they need a better control in place because there's a lot of violence happening across the world, across the United States. And Minnesota was a prime example of that. You know, we need better control. We need better checks and balances system because right now what they got is really not working because you can go around the system by going to pew pew shops and pew pew little events over the weekend. And you can get,
Conventions.
yeah,
Whole ass conventions.
those same rules don't apply to conventions. Those same rules don't apply to some assault pew pews and just certain class of weapons. But no matter which type of weapons, all weapons can be used as a weapon.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Maka Ichiro would like to know where you stand on Israel, the I country. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. It's the I country.
Okay.
Where do you
I'm
stand on that?
going to start here. First of all, I am a huge advocate for peace no matter where you are. But I'm of the belief that we can't take care of another country until we take care of home. Right now, America is not taking care of America. Once we get home taken care of, then I'm all about going to another country and helping them. Don't get me wrong, I support peace and my heart goes out to country I. But guys, we gotta take care of home first. And right now, home is going down in a plane over the Atlantic Ocean. And it's going down fast, like the Titanic.
What would you say about what's happening in Palestine right now?
It's sad. It's been going on for quite some time, and it's very disturbing. I think that it's very inhumane over there, and my heart bleeds and my heart hurts for them. It really and it truly does. But I'm just of the notion and opinion I can't help another country if I can't take care of home first. And so for me, that's it home. It's like me being a parent, and I'm gonna use this analogy. Let's say I'm married and I have children, okay? And I go meet the girl down the street, and oh my God, she's beautiful, but she got 6 children and I got 5 of my own. I'm gonna leave my home but go over there and live with her and take care of her children, but I can't take care of my kids at home. That's a problem. And so I use an analogy to say, if you can't take care of home, you sure as heck can't take care of nothing else. Self-care starts at home first.
Rigil asks, what about Ukraine?
I think the same thing applies, guys. You know, there's a lot of things going on over there on the other side of the world. And again, my heart bleeds. I don't have a problem with providing them with things that they need to be successful in their endeavors and in their issues, whether it's Israel, whether it's Pakistan, whether it's Palestine, or whether it's Ukraine. I don't have a problem supporting them and giving them some of the tools they need to be successful. But before I put my soldiers on the ground in another country, we got to take care of home first because we spend billions on other countries and aiding other countries, but yet we have the same problems right here at home. We have the same issue with homeless population. We have the same problem with feeding our homeless or feeding our undeserved populations. So I'm just a big believer that I got to take care of home first.
Would you say the same thing about USAID?
Yeah, it's all the same. That was an entity that we created to support foreign countries with food, you know, and the different things that they need to be sustainable. And I get it, and we had those things in place, and that's great. I wouldn't take what we had in place. I think the things that we had in place, Trump should have left them in place. I think it was wrong to remove them, but since he's removed them, and in the name of saving money and removing waste, fraud, and abuse, because by every means he didn't. He did eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse because he gave billions to Elon. But now that he's done that, I would say we need to take care of home first. And once we take care of home, we can develop programs that help Ukraine and other entities across the globe.
Awesome. Thank you for that question, Kayla. So if you could encourage inclusivity in our state without disenfranchising those that see inclusivity as a threat, what would you do to accomplish that?
That's a real deep question. Um,
I'm hitting you hard, man.
you
Just
is.
we
I think
there's no
I think that everybody has a right to that. No matter who you are, no matter what you serve, no matter what religion you are, you have a right to that. And yeah, that's a tie tongue for me. I can't even get the word out right now. Um, I just think that's a right, and I just think that we have to one go back to our constitution and the things that we are afforded as part of being in a free democracy, a free country, and respect how everybody else or how other individuals choose to live their life. As long as they're not impeding on the rights of others, it shouldn't be a problem.
Can I go back for just 1 second? Somebody in the chat asked about the I country, and we understand that APAC is a big funding machine for many members of Congress in our country. Would you take money from APAC if
No,
it was offered to you?
no. I honestly, guys, I have had some of these bigger corporations reach out to me. Like I've had one of the power companies reach out. I've had some, what's the word I want to use? I've had some big companies reach out to me, and I've actually politely declined because I believe that our country and our politics should not be based on money. It should not be based on these big donors. I think it should be something that's grassroots that goes back to the people because if it's backed by the people, then it's for the people. But when it's backed by these big wealthy donors, then that's who it becomes about. So no, I don't accept them. I've had funds offered and I refuse. I'd rather have them go without or take out of my own bills at home to fund what I need before I would accept funds from those organizations.
Because you're running a grassroots campaign, right? Like you are depending on donations from all over the country, small dollar donations.
Absolutely. And I will tell you guys, honestly, I've raised probably about $1,200. And I've been on the ballot running since February or March. And I will tell you, running for office is expensive. I think I've already mentioned about the filing fee to run for office. Well, guys, in order to maintain your websites, your social media, you have to pay for the information. Like, in order for me to be able to email people and to text people, the government charges you money for these programs. And so on average, I spend probably about 2 to 3 grand a month in programs that allow me to tell people, hey, I'm here. Any advertising that's on my card that says, hey, I'm running for Congress, that's in my front yard, any signs, anything you see, these things are pretty much coming out of my own pocket because I have not raised the funds yet, or funds are slowly trickling in. So running for office is highly expensive, but I want people to know I'm paying for these things out of my own pocket until I'm able to raise funds. And so I would much rather do that and take something from my own self, for lack of a better word, than to accept money from the devil.
Regiel asks, what does election reform look like to you?
I would feel like, to me, election reform starts with cleaning house. It starts with making politics about the people and not about the money. People before politics, and then they need to get all of this big money out of politics. These companies that are behind beer and alcohol and these pharmaceutical representatives, all of these big conglomerates need to be out of it. That is never what politics was supposed to be about. That's never what election was supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the people and for the people. I also believe that part of election reform is we need to get rid of this gerrymandering. That crap needs to go. I don't care whether you're Republican or you're Democrat. It's wrong. It has no place in election. Elections and the people that are in office, whether you're Democrat or Republican, should be based on the population and the census of those states. If your state is 60% African American, 20% Caucasian, and another 20% Asian and Hispanic, your representative should match the population of that state. You should not, if it should match and mirror. When it doesn't match and mirror your state, you got a problem. You need a whole election reform.
Definitely. All right, we have Sammy Sandwich, who just dropped for some reason. I think he's having some technical issues. Curly Fries, go ahead and ask your question. I'm going to turn your mic on for you, okay? Or you can turn your mic on for some reason. It's not letting me do it.
Hey, I'm sorry. I was eating some food.
No worries. You're all good. Thank you for joining us today. And this is Dr. Ken. So what would you like to ask him?
Dr. Ken, with what just happened in our country, what would you try to do to disband or separate your state from the NRA?
Well, I'm gonna say again, even with the NRA, you got to remember our Constitution allows certain things, like the right to bear arms. And we know what the NRA is, that we know what it's all about, but it should not be the first and primary thing that's for each state. I would actually think that we would need to pass some type of legislation. Well, let me back up. It's gonna be real tricky because again, one, the biggest fight the NRA is gonna throw up is the Constitution, the right to bear arms, and they're gonna say by blocking the NRA, we're refusing their right to bear arms. I don't think that by putting stipulations in place, we're infringing on somebody's right to bear arms. But I think to the point that NRA needs a better control. And right now NRA has a lot of power because they put a lot of money behind certain political people in office. If you look up a lot of our politicians, you'll see the NRA is putting huge dollars into their campaigns. And I'm going to throw it out there, like Abbott. One of the people that have donated into Abbott's campaign has been the NRA. And this is why they get a lot of latitude. And I think that's a problem. This is why, again, I say politics should not come before people. So with that being said, I think from a congressional level, there needs to be laws in place that prevent that from happening. Companies like NRA should not be allowed to pledge and support the campaigns for people that are running to the point where they're the biggest hedgehog, the biggest donor in the pile, because when they're running the show.
I agree. They have way too much control.
1,000%. Do you have a follow-up, Curly Fries?
I do not. I appreciate your input.
Thank you so much for coming up. Okay,
Thank you.
Sammy. Sammy the Sandwich.
Hi, how's it
You
going?
are
Sorry,
up.
I was having troubles.
No, you're
So I
good.
have a
Thank you for
question
joining
for
us.
I was somebody who was injured on the job, and I was wondering if you would be willing to, as somebody, who's running, be willing to look into reform for people who are injured on a job going through workers' compensation. I don't know if you know this, but you get 60% of your pay. And I went from one day making, a decent amount to making nothing. And then it's really a tough run to go from workers' compensation through disability, which is what I did. And I would really like to see more people running with the knowledge of what that system's like.
There's a couple of ways I want to respond to that. One, there's a lot of protections out there for people that are injured on the job. OSHA, I don't know what happens specifically, but OSHA puts a lot of rules out that employers are mandated to follow. And sometimes they like to skirt the issues of what's happening. Personally, if you are injured on the job, the way I understand a lot of written legislation to be is that employer has an obligation to make you whole. And a lot of employers get away from it because when you sign in your employee if you look through if you go to your HR office, ask to see your personnel file, and then there you sign something saying, I agree to their workers' compensation plan, or my employer opts out, and I'm aware that he or she opts out of this plan, and they will pay their own issue. They will pay for their own medication for the employee, or they will pay for your medical bills. Look at what you signed. Because there are a lot of federal protections on the books for injuries on the job, but a lot of employees do not realize that they're waiving their rights when they take a job. You have the right to say, no, I don't agree with that, and don't sign it. But now, mind you, if they don't hire you for that, they violate a lot of your rights that are protected. So a lot of people don't realize that there are federal protections behind injuries on the job. So I would tell people starting out, get educated about your rights, because there are a lot of protections, and the fact that you had to turn to disability, which takes you another years of being disabled before you can even apply for the disability, and you got to wait for a lump sum back payment and all those things to happen. Your employer had a lot of obligations by then. I probably would have said I would have already seen legal advice, because if you were able to get disability because of that on the job injury, there's some
Oh,
other
I did.
probably missed.
But something that a lot of people don't know is it's based on your state. Now, see, you're running for Texas, and I live in Michigan, so it's a little different here. But um, you can only get paid for a certain amount of weeks based on the body part that was injured. So for me, it was my lower back, so I can only get a maximum pay of like, what was it, like 52 months or 5 years or something like that, that they could give me. So like, I would like to see in states where if somebody's injured, the company should have an obligation to make sure they're taken care of, not just for 5 years, but for longer than that, because you're going to be injured for longer than
Did
that.
you sign an
And
agreed
not to
order?
mention disability.
Did you sign an agreed order? They gave you some kind of settlement. Did you sign anything saying you agreed to those terms?
Oh, you have to, or you don't get paid.
That's what
You have to. You have to. And the thing about it is,
you over a barrel. You a
basically,
rock and a
you
hard.
get two options. They give you two options. The option A is they'll continue to pay you whatever the weekly pay is forever, but with option A, what they'll do is they'll slowly trickle that down and say, "Oh, well, you don't need a little bit of this, or you don't need a little bit of that." My lawyer was telling me how they nickel and dime it down to almost nothing, or you can get a lump sum and actually get a chunk of money. But then again, it goes back to the base on the state law of like, and that would really depend on what your state law is. And I went through a really long time with all of that stuff, but I would just implore you as somebody who's running for it to think about that, because a lot of people think that people who go through workers' compensation are, faking it. Oh, they're ow my back guys, but really,
Back injuries are for life.
uh, yeah,
Back injuries are for life. And I've never seen someone, in my experience, and I've been in healthcare for 30 years just about, I've never seen someone that had a back injury in the states that I've been in where they didn't get a nice size settlement. I do mean nice size settlement for an on the job injury. In many cases, with good counsel, they were able to show um, that the employee was being deceived by the employer and get around it. Because there's a lot of federal protections, but they're not. But your state is not going to tell you that, because your state is probably a pro-employer state, or the right to work, or an employer right state, and not an employee sponsored state.
Definitely.
I appreciate your answers. I appreciate you looking into it, and I appreciate everything you're doing, being here, working with the People's Sick Day group. And Jess, I appreciate you throwing this on before TBH. It's cool to be able to. There's always an hour between Don Lemon and TBH, and I'm like, there's nothing to watch, and now there is. So I appreciate
You've
you.
got something now. So fabulous. Thank you so much, Sammy. I appreciate you coming up.
No problem. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. So, well, guys, we've gotten some pretty amazing information here. We've learned a ton of stuff about Dr. Kenneth Morgan Aguilera tonight, and it's really amazing to have you here. So, thank you so much. But I want to switch gears for a moment. I am adding a segment into our show where we have an amazing content creator come up and tell us about how to get involved. This content creator has been doing this for ages and ages, and I really felt like it was the perfect platform for her to come up and just give us kind of a down low of what we can do, ladies and gents, and everyone in between. This is Chelsea in 5.
Hi, y'all. I'm Chelsea. I'm a county chair here in Texas. Um, it feels like I've been doing this forever. I haven't been doing this as long as you would think. I started doing the county chair job last year, but I noticed when I came in, the average age of the people that I was working with, 75. We are in desperate need of young people to get involved with politics, to get involved, period. The best way to do that is to get involved with your county party. I don't know how it works in other states, but in Texas, you can go to the Texas Democrats website. You can type in uh, texasdemocrats.org, go to our party, our leaders, and go down to county parties. It's an alphabetical order, and you can be able to find your county party and the contact information for the chair there. Some counties do not have chairs, and if your county does not have a county chair, I really highly encourage you to become a county chair. We need them across Texas. I think Texas has around 50 counties without a chair.
I would
If your
imagine
county
it's
does
the
have a
same.
chair,
I would imagine it's the same
yeah,
throughout the rest of the country too. As
I
honestly,
would think so.
I have never heard of a county chair, and I mean, I'm
Yeah,
like 44 years old.
yeah, it's an unappreciated job. I'll say
Mm-hmm.
that. We are the county representatives for the Democratic Party, and we're in charge of running elections, making sure that there's people to work elections. We don't get paid, but you get paid in experience, and you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the process, and it's one of the best ways to be involved. Really, you are the boots on the ground for the Democratic Party. And I know the Democratic Party is not perfect. We all know that. You can get involved to create the party that you want to see. You would be surprised. Whenever I came into my party with a whole bunch of old people, like I said, 75 is the average age, I was expecting some pushback because I'm more progressive. And I've gotten none. They're all on board. They're just waiting on young people to come in and take over the reins and shift the party in the direction that they want it to go. So get involved. We need it. And now more than ever, we need the boots on the ground. We also need precinct chairs across Texas. Only half of our precincts have chairs. And if we're going to win elections, and we need to start winning elections in Texas, that's how we're going to do it, is by having those precincts all filled up, going and knocking on doors and talking to people.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming and joining us
Yeah, of
and
course.
telling us about this. It's really, really important for everybody to know how the sausage is made, for lack of a better term. And,
Yes.
I think you guys are a humongous part of that. So thank you so much for coming up.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. Okay, guys. So here is the deal. We are wrapping things up here. We're getting close to time. So before we go, Dr. Kenneth, if you could just tell us how people can get involved with your campaign, how they can support you in your run.
All right, guys. I would say, again, thank you for being here. And the biggest ways you guys can support my run for office is one, by tapping and liking this screen and sharing these lives. I would also say, if you go to the bio in my homepage, the bio on my homepage will take you to my social media platforms. It will take you to my TikTok, my Facebook, my Instagram. It will allow you to follow me and allow you to support me. Part of the other ways that you can support my run for Congress is by supporting my content, because in my content on my pages, whether it's on YouTube or any of the other ones, that's how I get a lot of my messages out to you guys. And you guys watching it, subscribing it, and forwarding it are ways to support my campaign. And again, but more importantly, on the link in my bio on my TikTok page, you can go to my homepage, and there is a link tree that will take you to @blue, which will allow you to donate to my campaign. Now, if you are not able to donate, you can also go to my website, which is kennethforcongress2026.com, and you can sign up to volunteer your services, because we do use volunteers with knocking on doors, raising funds, making calls to people that are voting, saying, hey, this is our candidate. So there are several ways to actually get me. On the lower part of the screen, you can actually screenshot in my picture. There's a QRC code, a QR code. I hope I said that right. QRC code that you can screenshot, and you can tap that, and it'll take you to my platforms where you can donate and get additional information about me or what I stand for or my political stance. All right, Jess.
Awesome.
Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. This has been so wonderful, hasn't it? I would be absolutely remiss if I did not take a moment to thank the amazing content creators who are here supporting us tonight. our incredible team of mods who have been amazing in helping us run smoothly tonight, and also our incredible design genie, K-Law. Say hi in the chat, everybody, to those guys. Give them some much deserved love and attention. Make sure that you're following Dr. Kenneth in his journey. I think that it's really important that we as a community just sort of band together and create some unity so that we can start really making some changes here. So thank you so much for everything. Also, just a little nudge, if you will. They're doing some hanky-panky nationwide when it comes to the voting rolls. So make sure that you are still registered to vote. If you are not registered to vote, go out and register to vote. If you want to make sure that you are still on the voter rolls, go to vote.gov to make sure that you are still listed. And find out what you need to do to be more involved. It's really important. They're really trying to do some hinky stuff. So pay attention. If your voice wasn't important, they wouldn't be trying so hard to take it away from you. Okay? This was incredibly inspiring, and I want to remind everyone that the fear is the point. Okay? The fear is the point. Fear leads to panic. Panic leads to inaction, and hope and community are the antidote for all of it. Tune in next week when we talk to a man who is more than eager to wheel Greg Abbott right out of Austin. It's about time for TBH, you guys. By the way, Tab and Missy, if you're here, say hi in the chat. If you're not following these guys, you definitely should be. I would also like somebody in the chat to please post the website for the People's Sick Day. If you are not a part of the People's Sick Day, you definitely need to be a part of the People's Sick Day. We need to throw a wrench in this bish, okay? This is the best way to go about doing it. There's a million different ways that we can be active in how to stop what's happening right now and to make a better country that works for all of us, not just for the wealthy. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join me today to talk with Dr. Kenneth. Thank you so much, Dr. Kenneth, for joining us. We wish you all the best. Of course, we would love to have you back.
You know I'll come back, Jess. I'm going to hop on my own live when I get out of here, just so for those
There you
that are
go.
waiting to talk to me. So, guys, I'm leaving here. I'm going right back into my own.
Fabulous. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kenneth. Please remember everybody to take care of each other. And we'll see you at the next one. Okay?
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Toodles. Have a great night, guys.